This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
The city of Tipton was scammed out of nearly $50,000 after a business they normally work with was impersonated by cybercriminals.
And they contacted us and said, hey, could y'all maybe change this to an electronic payment instead of just the check? And we were like, sure, okay. Because it was in reference to a legitimate invoice.
Tipton's director of communications tells me that after they canceled the original check and sent the electronic payment, they were contacted by the legitimate company and soon realized they had been the target of a scam.
We're very lucky in that as a big organization, we have insurance. I mean, we do want people to know that this is such an isolated incident. We hate that it happened. We're doing everything we can to get every, dime back of that, but it happens.
I must respectfully throw a bullshit flag on this. Scams against governments are not rare. It's so common that I had to limit most of the stories I'll tell you today to losses of more than 6 figures. These scams are particularly bad because they don't just involve one person, they involve all taxpayers. They're all being robbed. After producing more than 100 episodes of Scams and Cons, I can tell you this has been the easiest and the most expensive one I've done. It's the easiest because of the huge number of scams run against governments. It was expensive on several levels, but mostly because of the audio transcripts I needed to write this script. Taxpayers had it worse, much worse. How much is lost? It's easily in the hundreds of millions of dollars, but we don't know exactly because governments aren't that forthcoming in revealing a scam. Before we get into the actual scams, let me tell you how I define scams for this episode. In most cases, I use a rough definition of one or more people scamming an individual. If I use that definition here, it would creep into the category of fraud, where someone on the inside directs money elsewhere for their own benefit. The guideline here was that there must be a third party, someone who slips between a government and an honest person to con the government out of its money. The victims were taxpayers, but the person who enabled the scam didn't know they had a role in it. They likely just clicked on a link or tried to help a vendor. Most scams against governments happen in 2 ways. There's a third, and we'll get into that later. The first way is through social engineering. That requires scammers to convince someone inside the city, county, or school to give up or change information in a database. That usually happens via a supposedly legitimate email to someone inside the public agency. The second uses the same seemingly legitimate email that allows scammers to steal data from a government. It's then used to scam employees or simply sell it on the darknet so other scammers can take a run at you. Here's an example. The Justice Department blamed a Tennessee couple for a scheme that defrauded the Pentagon's health program of more than $65 million. It involves some active duty service members who will serve time and must pay the federal government back. One half of the couple, Jimmy Collins, was sentenced to 10 years in prison, the maximum he could have received for the charge, while Ashley Collins will serve 18 months in home confinement for conspiracy, according to military.com. From 2014 to 2015, the Collinses created a medical network of doctors and a nurse practitioner. They used other TRICARE beneficiaries to get service members to receive specialty medications they didn't need. In return, they got kickbacks. TRICARE, by the way, is a health program run to benefit active duty military personnel. The prescriptions were then filled by a pharmacy in Bountiful, Utah, which billed TRICARE at amounts of $10,000 and in some cases up to $20,000 per prescription, enough for the Collinses to cover the costs of beneficiaries' co-payments, provide payments to participants, and spend lavishly on themselves. According to the Justice Department, the Collinses enjoyed a lavish lifestyle. It included an 82-foot yacht, 2 Aston Martins, and other luxury vehicles. They had 3 parcels of real estate in Tennessee, gold and silver bars, and a multi-million-dollar investment annuity. A more typical case is illustrated by a Texas school district.
A school district in Texas lost about $2.3 million due to a phishing email scam. Now the FBI is investigating. Police tell KEYE Manor ISD, serving areas of Austin, Pflugerville, and more, was the victim of an online scam in November. Police say the loss happened through 3 separate fraudulent charges. An IT expert tells KEYE phishing scams can often show up as disguised email addresses, phone numbers, or fake links.
West Milwaukee and West Allis are suburbs of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The 2 communities share a school district. CBS 58 tells about money stolen from the school district.
According to court documents that we uncovered today, back in September, a district employee got an email from someone saying they were from C.G. Schmidt, a company hired to build a new rec and community services center, and that they needed to send some banking information. What the district employee did not notice was the email address was fake, with 2 N's instead of an M in Schmidt. So when the district sent a payment of more than $840,000, they thought it was going to C.G. Schmidt, but the company never got it. The West Allis Police Department says their initial investigation led them to different spots around the country, but say it's likely money was transferred overseas. Because of that and the complexity of the case, it was turned over to the FBI. In a statement, the district's director of finance and operations said they do not expect this to impact the construction of the Rec and Community Services Center, and that they've made changes to address their online banking process and will provide education and training for email fraud and phishing attacks.
When I come back, I'm going to take the city of Atlanta and Fulton County to task. I'm interrupting myself because I need your help. In nearly 3 years, I've produced more than 100 episodes of Scams and Cons. By choice, I paid all the bills out of my pocket. But now it's time to take the show to the next level, and I need your help. I'd like you to become a supporter of the podcast. Like a lot of shows, I'm using Patreon to make that possible. Unlike other shows, your support won't buy any special episodes that others don't get to hear. I value all my listeners, and I don't like separating them into the haves or have-nots. So here's my ask. Visit patreon.com and search for Scams and Cons. Pick a support level that's right for you and sign up. If you want to know the details of what it costs to produce the podcast, read the About section where I lay it out. You can do that before picking a level of support. Regardless, the podcast will always be free to hear, and I hope you'll show me some love by becoming a supporter. Thanks. Now back to the show. I mentioned a third way scammers con money out of governments, and that's ransomware. What happens is that a seemingly innocent email goes to someone inside a government, and when they click a link, a virus locks up their computers, and the scammers demand money to restore the system. Many of these scammers protect hospitals and emergency services from the attack, but not always. CoverLink, an insurance company that protects governments and businesses from such things, was alerted when Atlanta was held for ransom. The attack was in March of 2018. CoverLink did a case story on the attack, noting that the city refused to pay the ransom. AI voice Tamika reads from that study.
The city of Atlanta refused to reward the cybercriminals and did not pay the ransom. As a result, the city of Atlanta ransomware attack took several months to recover from disrupting various government services for extended periods and costing millions of dollars in damage. This incident has become known as one of the costliest cyber attacks to impact a local government. The attack compromised critical technology and information across Atlanta, interrupting key municipal functions within several city departments. In particular, the incident disrupted online payment programs for various services such as utilities, traffic tickets and business licenses or renewals, and a multitude of law enforcement operations, including warrant issuances, inmate processing protocols, and court fee payments. Further, the Atlanta Police Department lost access to practically all of its archived in-vehicle video footage, and even had to temporarily resort to writing incident reports by hand. As part of the ransomware attack, the cybercriminals demanded the payment of over $50,000 in Bitcoin before restoring any technology or information for the Atlanta government. However, the city refused to comply with the cybercriminals' demands. Government officials did not want to reward the cybercriminals' behavior with payment, nor were they convinced that such a payment would result in restoration.
Wired magazine said the city of Atlanta spent more than $2.6 million on emergency efforts to respond to the attack. The scammers asked for a ransom of roughly $50,000 worth of Bitcoin. That cost depends upon the value of Bitcoin at the time. Atlanta officials haven't said whether they paid the ransom or even tried, but it seems they may not have had the chance. The attackers quickly took the payment portal offline and left the city to fend for itself. The recovery has been far more costly than the initial demand. You'd think Atlanta area governments would have gotten the message, but in February 2023, CNN reported that Fulton County, which includes parts of Atlanta, said financially motivated hackers appeared to be behind a ransomware attack that has disrupted key county services. CNN said the news came nearly 2.5 weeks after the county first acknowledged a cybersecurity incident was causing disruptions. CNN said the group was called Lockbit. Lockbit has Russian-speaking members, but it also has criminal partners in multiple countries that rent the ransomware and use it for attacks. Here's Rob Pitts, head of the Fulton County Commission, at a press conference.
Now, I also want to address speculation about whether Fulton County paid a ransom for our data. After careful consideration and weighing many factors, the Board of Commissioners decided that we could not, in good conscience, use Fulton County taxpayer funds to make a payment. We did not pay, nor did anyone pay on our behalf. We cannot speculate as to why Lockbit removed Fulton County from their dark website this past Friday.
As to the question of whether personal data of the county's citizens is affected,
I want to be straightforward with you and transparent. We still do not know. It's more important to me that you hear the truth than I tell you something that ends up being wrong further down the road. We want to get this right, and this review requires our teams to lead an extensive e-discovery process to carefully understand and review any data believed to be affected. But if we determine that people's personal information was involved in this incident, we will make all legally required notifications. We plan to provide affected individuals with resources to help protect their personal information.
Each attack is different, but it's disconcerting that the Atlanta area would be hit twice in a period of a few years. There are plenty more disaster tales to tell, and we'll tell them after the break.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
Pack your body bags. We're going on a slaycation. Tim, what's a slaycation?
A slaycation is a murder or mysterious death that happens while you're on vacation.
If you like to mix humor with horror and travel,
join me, Kim Davis.
And me, Adam Tex Davis.
And me, Jerry Colbert.
As we look at the craziest slaycations that will have you asking, what the F is wrong with people? You can find Slaycation on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
Just remember, getting away can be murder.
Time for some rapid-fire examples. From KOMO in Olympia, Washington.
The Olympia School District headquarters has all kinds of security systems in place. But yesterday, they discovered someone was able to gain access to crucial information by posing as Superintendent Dick Civitanich by using the technique of phishing or masquerading as a trustworthy entity. In a statement, the district said, "We learned at the end of the workday yesterday that we had a district data breach. The phish resulted in an outside entity spoofing the email address of the superintendent. The fake email requested the names, addresses, salary information, and social security numbers of every employee. The first three items are readily available on the internet, but not the social security numbers, which can be used to access personal finances." The district said, "This morning we've been working with security experts, legal counsel, insurance carrier, and the district technology team regarding a number of issues associated with this breach of information."
KVIA tells about how El Paso was taken for a ride.
They assure me the scam was isolated.
It's not like we're discovering something that we need to change something. The systems are governed by how the software is set up, how the people interface with the software, the divisions of duties. So all of those controls are in place. And this one is one of those rare circumstances that a scammer was able to succeed.
What could have happened? Dr. Luke Longper from Sit with UTEP says the method could be used to have someone that change the bank account of an existing vendor, but these cases are very sophisticated and anyone could be behind it.
Could be anything. We don't have a profile of who is doing this. It could be local people, it could be foreign people, and it could be local people that do it from a foreign site because they go to some other country where the laws against these kind of things are weaker, so that if they are found, they're less liable to bad consequences. It's like the organized crime.
So what's a poor taxpayer to do? The first thing is to lock down your credit reports by going to the three big reporting agencies, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Once you join up, and it doesn't cost you anything, put a lock on your report. That means no one can access your credit unless you approve it. Odds are you'll forget about it until the next time you apply for a credit card or a bank loan. They'll then ask you to open your account so they can see your credit report. Once you open it and they get their information, lock it back down again. That still leaves you open to phishing attacks like the ones that infected all these public institutions. Even if the person on the other end of the phone, text, or email seems to have correct information on you, they're likely to try to get more or have you confirm the information they already have. And if you don't know the person sending the email, don't open it. There's one more thing you can do. Since these institutions are run by elected representatives, call yours and find out what protections are in place. More importantly, find out what training employees get in recognizing phishing attempts. That training is the single most effective thing to do. It's your money. Make sure it's safe and is spent on projects that the people have approved. If you enjoy Scams and Cons, tell your friends and encourage them to listen. You can find Scams and Cons wherever podcasts are found. And please give us a 5-star rating wherever you listen. Your ratings really do make a difference. Lastly, I'd be grateful if you'd support the show via Patreon. Your support will help the podcast grow to the next level. Just go to patreon.com and search for Scams and Cons, or use the link in the show notes. Thanks for listening.